The rehearsals the first time it is an experiment, because then I have to sort of, okay, let's see how it works. And then it's like, oh, this works. This doesn't work so well. So I'm so glad that also we are doing 3 performances. So tonight is the second. And I'm already thinking of last night. I'm like, that went well. Maybe tonight I can, do something different because it's so fresh. And then of course it's like cooking a stew, Like there's like, the stew just needs to sit. And then the flavors are coming in and getting, release over time.
Welkom bij de 11e aflevering van Vlak voor de Gong, de voorlopig laatste aflevering. 11 keer heb ik een muzikant hier in muziekcentrum De Bijlokke weggeplukt om het te hebben over een pre-concertrituelen. Beland je hier voor de eerste keer? Luister dan straks zeker eens naar de rest van de afleveringen met bijvoorbeeld jazzdrummer Makaya McCraven, Stefan de Winter van Die Verdammte Spielerij of pianist Leif Ove Ansnes. Eind maart verwelkomden we het Antwerp Symphony Orchestra in onze concertzaal met een prachtig programma. Maar het was om nog een andere reden een heel bijzondere avond, want het was de laatste keer dat het orkest in Gent aantrad onder leiding van afscheidnemend chef-dirigent Elim Chan. Het perfecte excuus voor een lange babbel over Mahler, over Zweedse turnzalen en of ze eigenlijk nog stress heeft voor een concert. Hello, Elim Chan.
Hi,
and welcome
hello,
in the Bijlokke. Welcome in the Bijlokke. This isn't your first visit here to our concert hall, but it will be your last as a chief conductor with the Antwerp Symphony. How does it feel?
Actually, I didn't even realize until you said it. And I was just thinking back. I think the last performance I had here was Mahler as well. Mahler 5.
Mahler 5, yeah.
Yeah. So it's also a bit poignant that here again with another Mahler symphony, which is the 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, I never like to say anything is a very definite farewell. I mean, I know that it's a very special space performing, and I know I will be back in different role or different orchestras, maybe. But it's always a place that I find that I love to really surprise the audience here, because this is really a special place.
It's a very cozy hall for a big symphonic orchestra.
Yes, but at the same time it feels intimate in a way, because it's sort of really like a church, sort of this feeling like you're in a house. So it's it gives both the feeling. Yeah,
I've seen Mahler 5 in the cathedral here in Ghent last summer, and I had the same feeling, but a little more grandeur, because it is a cathedral, but the high volume of the concert hall fits the Mahler sounds. Do you still remember your first visit here?
Wow. I think you have to help me with that.
I didn't know it as well, but I think it must have been in your first...
I think I know. But I think it was before I became chief. I think it was Rachmaninoff Symphonic Dances. Yes, that was, I think, 2018, no? 18 or
19,
or 19,
early 19,
but spring,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So, well, it's been some time ago now.
Yeah, we've been chatting for a while now, but let's say people are listening to this and they're thinking, who is Elim Chan? Could you introduce yourself in a few sentences, in a few words?
Well, I'm Elim, and I am a conductor. I'm the chief at the moment with the Antwerp Symphony Orchestra, and I'm from Hong Kong. And I just, really love performing and sharing music. I think especially after the last few years of, knowing not how it feels to not be able to do that for audiences, I think coming back strongly has been really an important task, and to really value the audience, because that was really what was so strongly hitting the fact that, no matter what we record or, all that, I think in the end it really matters when you're making this for people to share this with.
I had, in a previous episode, I had a talk with Leif Ove Ansnes, and we talked about the difference between playing an empty concert hall for a concert that's streamed, or playing in a concert hall filled with people, but they're absolutely quiet and they're listening, and it's a completely different energy.
Yeah. Yes, and you can really feel there's this tension in the air as well, and then you can really, and it challenges me when I know that the audience is really in tune, and it's like, they're there, and the attention, and then you can really manipulate it and play with it, with timing, with volume. Yeah, it's wonderful, because it also then pushes you as the artist to do something new, to really create at that moment.
I want to talk a bit about the program as well.
Yeah.
So there are 3 pieces. First piece by Elizabeth O'Gonnock,
Yeah.
All These Lighted Things. And you've performed all the orchestral works of Elizabeth.
I think so, yeah. It's quite an achievement.
Yeah. What attracts you in her music?
Well, I think her writing for orchestra, well, first of all, she has just this passion to write for orchestras. And the first piece I have had experience, like, to get to know who is Elizabeth, it was back in London. And it was the piece called Sleep and Unremembrance. Mm-hmm. And already then, I was really immediately mesmerized by the sound world that she created. It's a bit French impressionistic, but then at the same time, she has this very unique voice of describing or hinting at things and feelings that is very difficult to put in words. Mm-hmm. But somehow, of course, I think music is the greatest. It is such a great form of art because it can really touch on those sort of indescribable experiences.
Is that one of the movements in All These Lighted Things that is like an underwater dance?
Exactly, the second, yeah.
I've talked to her and she described it. The moment she said it's an underwater dance, I said, of course, yeah. Then you hear the piece and you're like, yeah, that's an underwater dance. And
exactly.
I wouldn't have been able to describe it before I heard it.
Yeah, and also this sort of weightless feeling when, you sort of let yourself go in a big sort of space, just in the water, in an ocean. And you also hear how she writes about, sort of melodies coming into your consciousness as if like you go back to some memories, from before. And I really admire how she can do that. And at the same time, she has such a playful way of writing when, for example, humor. There's a lot of humor in her music. And the combination of instruments is really cool as well. Mm-hmm. And in all these lighter things, especially the way she writes for percussion, it's unbelievable. So it's just like everyone has fun, and she really, she writes tricky music, but not for the sake of just to challenge you. There's always this sort of thought and vision she has. So.
Yeah, as well on the program. Of course, is Mahler, the Fourth Symphony. I believe I've seen you perform, 1, 5, and now the Fourth.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite?
Oh, I would say 1 has been the first, like a very big one for myself. 1 has this sort of, creation of the new world, right? Mm-hmm. This sort of, and then things comes to exist, and it's. Also, of course, programmatically, it you can sort of really latch onto, what he was trying to say. And it's such a sort of clear symphony, of like, celebration of like this, like victory at the end, Mm-hmm. Yet 4, the more I study and get to know it, and of course now, like, having done it and worked on it with the orchestra, it is a masterpiece in a way that is such a small orchestra. It's the smallest, but Mahler got so much out of a small orchestra. Yeah, and of course there's all this intricate chamber music-like way of how he hangs everything together. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And this whole, vision of, because he was describing how like this is basically just like, just this blueness of the sky, but then you have different shades, and then suddenly maybe like something comes in those sinister forces, and then but at the same time there's this question mark at the end. Mm-hmm. Are we in heaven or not? So it's just this mystery of life, So really fascinates me. And then I was also talking to the soloist Christiane, who has done this piece for 15 years, because I was like, how can you not be in a way tired of the piece? Because for me, it's actually the first time for me to do this. And she was like, oh, but this piece never stops questioning her, and never stops fascinating, and it never fails. And I would totally agree.
You can. Especially in Mahler symphonies, you can always focus on a different group of instruments.
Absolutely.
And always discover something new.
Yep, and all these perspectives. And I was just saying how in Mahler, especially this one, it has so many things in it, like all the elements and feelings of life, right? There's the humor, which is a big part of this. There's of course, the darkness in life. There's comfort, and there's the innocence of a child as well. And so you can find and of course depends on what is happening in your life at the moment, but there's always something in the symphony that you can identify with and feel it's touching you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned that it's the first time you're performing Mahler 4 in concert. Mm-hmm. I was wondering, how do you start doing your job when you know I'm going to have to conduct Mahler 4 for the first time I reckon you heard the piece before. Maybe you've studied it on your own. You studied the score. How do you start working on a score like that?
Just like any other piece, but of course with Mahler, there's this feeling of because it's a Mahler symphony. But I just read a lot about it and basically try to find out everything about the piece. But at the same time, after you know all that and you did all the analysis and blah blah blah, you have to try to, because then when you finally get to be in front of the orchestra and then you hear how then you take what you have. And somehow you have to try to. I think the hardest thing to do a piece the first time is what do I have in my head theoretically and perceptively, perception, concept, how to then make it organically come through. Because that's the hardest, because it's so sort of cooked up, and then the rehearsals the first time is all a bit can be it is an experiment, because then I have to sort of okay, let's see how it works, and then it's like, oh, this works, this doesn't work so well. So I'm so glad that also we are doing 3 performances. So tonight is the second, and I'm already thinking of last night. I'm like, that went well. Maybe tonight I can do something different, because it's so fresh. And then of course it's like cooking a stew. Like there's like the stew just needs to sit, and then the flavors are coming in and getting released over time.
Yeah, so. Because this probably won't be the last time you'll be performing.
Oh, I definitely would look forward to having at least 15 years like Christiana. Yeah.
In between starting to study, reading about the symphony and the first performance or the first rehearsal, how much time is there? Is it months, weeks, or?
Oh yeah, months. I mean, also especially I know, like for example, already when we programmed this is like over a year ago. So when I put it, then like, okay, that is the time, like March 2024, I'm doing Mahler 4. And it already sort of sort of telling myself, okay, by this point, and at least, I've, and of course before I've already, heard the piece many times, seen performances, read a lot about it, but then to start to really, read
about it with intention.
Exactly, yeah, and then to make notes and to really take the score and take it seriously, and then to really take it apart and learn it. That takes months. So it's and then to also have the time to put it away, because of course meanwhile I have other performances, other projects, but then the piece is already in the head. It's like a neighbor, exactly. And then so it has to I have to make decisions over time.
And I don't think many people realize that you only have 3 or 4 rehearsals with the orchestra.
Yeah, and that's something I think always the audiences are very surprised when they find out. It's like, there's only that kind of time,
I reckon that, for example, with a piece like All These Slightly Things, Organics, All These Slightly Things, is that harder because there isn't a recording you can listen to visualize how it should sound. You have to maybe make more important decisions when performing it for the first time than.
Actually, I find it easier.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no past. There's no.
Makes sense.
Standard.
Yeah.
There's no tradition, right? There's no sort of the best recording of So in a way, that's why it is so rewarding and important, I find, to make pieces like this. And especially, of course, when we had Elizabeth with the orchestra back when we were recording the piece.
Yeah.
It's the best thing because then everyone can really ask her questions, but at the same time, she still changed things on the spot, so you're still creating the piece. So and to me that is wonderful because again, there's no right or wrong. I mean, of course, then she's there. She's like, I like it or not.
She may be right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but then at the same time, we surprised her as well, and I love that, and compared to Mahler 4 symphony, exactly because there's so many recordings out there. I mean, sometimes it's a pressure. To sort of like, oh no, like maybe I have to do it like this. This is the gold standard, or and at the same time, like, wow. But then if I really feel something is different from the music, do I have the guts to really follow
try something new?
Yeah. So that's why I think in contemporary music, there's this fresh breath of air. I really love. Like it's his freedom, sense of freedom.
You're here in Ghent now. You've been in Antwerp for the past week, since Tuesday, I reckon. Do you have a lot of free time, or are you completely focused on the concert work?
I do have some free time, but of course, when I'm in the week, and it's also true to other projects, when you're in the place, after rehearsals, basically my brain is still living very much and very intensely, thinking of what happened in the rehearsals, making mental notes for the next rehearsal. And of course, and when I'm in Antwerp, there's also involving, meetings and, and the soloist comes, and then, for example, this time I haven't worked with Christiana before, so that also, involves of actually getting to know her before we get on stage. So it's constant, but of course it's sometimes, it's more in the subconsciousness of things coming together, and then of course on stage, we have good 5 hours every day, and it's really in that way my job is really not done. Like I say 5 hours, but it's really going until you really deliver the concerts.
And it starts again the week after, because then you're traveling to another orchestra, another piece.
But also that's why it's important to put in rest. Yeah, exactly.
You're in Ghent now. You told me you're looking forward to some ramen here.
Yes.
Do you have time to check the city? Because you're visiting here. You came from Antwerp this afternoon. You're leaving again, I presume, tonight.
Yeah.
So do you have time to check out Ghent?
Yeah, not always, but not this time. I remember the last time for Mahler 5, I actually spent an extra day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's of course easy to just book a hotel, but of course this time is not possible because next morning we have a concert in Antwerp. But last time the Mahler 5, I think we ended in Ghent. Yeah. So I booked a hotel, really nice boutique place, and then it's so beautiful to walk.
I agree.
Yeah, and then really nice restaurants, and if you get a good weather, it's
lovely.
Yes, exactly. So
the Mahler 5 was early October, I guess. So
it was
if
fall.
It's a nice fall day,
it was really nice.
You've traveled all around the world performing. What is the weirdest place you ended up at, be it before, after, or during a concert?
Weirdest place? Wow. Well, I will share this. So actually, I think 2 experiences, and they're in a similar way, similar place. So let's put it like this. So basically, it was once in Sweden. This was quite a long time ago when it was like beginning of my career, and we had a run out concert somewhere, and it was like winter. It was cold, and then I remember that when we arrived at this place where we were supposed to play the concert, I was literally like, "Where is the concert hall?" We arrived at some gym, I think, of a school. And I remember so well that my dressing room was literally the toilets next to the swimming pool. So, and when I was conducting with the orchestra, the whole time I could smell chlorine because the swimming pool was just right
next
there.
Door, yeah.
Exactly. So the whole time I just couldn't stop laughing. And I remember that Beethoven 7 was the most sporty. It was like, but it was a place where the orchestra needed to reach out to people in more rural areas. So that was very interesting. Yeah. Another one that I remember, and it sort of triggered this memory, was actually with the Belgian National Orchestra. Okay. We did some New Year's concerts, and one of the places, of course, they have to travel to repeat this concert. And one of the places, I forgot where or how do you say that place at the city anymore. But then it was in the French part, and again I arrived and I was like, where are we? And then it's again some high school, and it was a gymnasium. And I thought immediately, like, oh no, it's like the Sweden thing again. I'm like, oh no. And we walked in, it was unbelievable. It was full with people. And I think the whole village showed up. And the audience, and I remember the orchestra told me, "Oh, we love playing here." I'm like, really, And then it was like the best concert ever because the people like literally they were so enthusiastic.
The highlight of the year.
Highlight of their year, and then the orchestra played extra well because you just feel like like they are their biggest fans.
Yeah. Was it in Virton?
Yes, here you go. Yes, and so I love it, so there are always these moments of like, where are we? Oh my God. And then it can turn out to be, I still remember this after how many years. And that audience, I mean, sure, I've been to many places in the world with big audiences, but that audience in Virton, it was one of these that I will never forget in my life. Yeah, so here you go.
now it's 5:45, 2 hours before the concert, rehearsal in between. Do you still feel stressed before a concert?
No, and it's especially because the first one was done. So it's a different, the nerves, that is not really so strong anymore. But I think, of course, it's a different kind of intensity in the head right now because of things I need to run in the rehearsal, especially with a different acoustic. You have only half an hour to sort of have the orchestra adjust and have to really make decisions how much to have the orchestra play and have to make very fast decisions.
Yeah, because you rehearsed all week in Queen Elizabeth Hall,
exactly.
So the sound is built on the hall.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes actually, when you go to different halls, and it gives you a different quality, and sometimes it helps in certain places, right? So it's always really. I love that we have more chances, in different places to play, and then I have to take a nap. That's like my thing before concert. It can be just 15 or 20 minutes to just sort of empty the head because like all the work is done, and then you have to enjoy.
So between rehearsal and concert.
Exactly. Yeah. Or actually, in this case, I think I have to do it before rehearsal.
With a slight ramen feel in the...
A little bit, and then
does off for 20 minutes. Yeah, okay, of course. I've seen you backstage.
Yes.
You're always very focused. What's the very last thing you think about before going on stage when they open the door and you walk out? What's the very last thing you think about?
It's interesting because I actually, at that moment, I really try to... Well, it depends again. I think there's some certain pieces I'm, sort of hearing the first sounds and just really get the feeling. But I will say, the moment when the door opens, right before it, actually my head has nothing. I'm always just telling myself to take what is there and then to really feel the energy of the room and then see. I love this sort of like, instead of I'm going to go and do this, because I just love this every night, even though I say we play in the same hall, every night is different. You have different group of people, different combination of people, people's mood,
Has been raining all day.
Exactly, and maybe someone have a very hard day. Someone just maybe broke up, or someone has a job race, and then it's like celebrating. So everyone's mood is different, and then so I just love that the moment I got on stage, I just want to really what is it tonight?
Taste the feeling, yeah.
And I have to be empty in a way.
Yeah.
To be very perceptive.
Let's talk about what happens after the concert. I've seen two schools of people. You have one group that is completely empty, given all their energy in the concert and then barely faint backstage. Or they are completely hyped up by the energy given by the audience, by the orchestra. Which one of the two are you?
I think I'm the more second one. Yeah. I have also been, of course, the completely sort of exhausted, but I think that is more like maybe after a tour when you're doing a lot in the in a very short period of time. But I think also over time, it is also getting a bit less of this because I think as a conductor, I don't know. I mean, I'm still young. But I remember, of course, the first few years, it's all about the energy. I don't know, I want to give and give and give, and I'm really sweat a lot and just. But I would say now it's 7-8 years that I'm at this, and I'm trying to really find the balance of when to give, and also energy is not always giving. Sometimes it actually is the more still I am, then I can get more out. So it's something maybe quite zen. I'm talking about, especially with very rhythmic and loud music. Actually, the more I need to be stable.
Yeah. You have to be the stable one in not the chaos, but.
Exactly, you need to be in the eye of the storm, right? You have to be able to be like that, and in order to know who needs my help, who needs what in the moment, be able to see that, and that I can't do if I'm all hyped up and in 200%. So it's something I'm in the process of experimenting because I love giving. I mean, who doesn't, love to enjoy the moment? So I think this really affects how it feels after. But of course, with, for example, the Mahler 4, I think at the end of this symphony, it's definitely more of I'm in a different world than the sort of, oh my God, maybe that's more like a Mahler 1 or Mahler 5.
Yeah. Especially when giving concerts in a row, you continue on improving between parentheses. Does that start when you get off stage? Or does that start in the cab ride home or in the hotel?
Yeah, I think also mostly, but that's why I think, like you said, going back to your last question, it's very difficult to fall asleep after a concert for me because there's all these thoughts and the music is still playing, and then then it starts, right? I'm like, oh, maybe I could have done this differently. Oh, tonight that spot didn't go well. There's all of this, and of course with Mahler, there's so much emotions. There's so many feelings in the music that you also have to process. But then after you sleep on it, the next morning, certain things have calmed down. But then some things are more like, okay, I really need to take care of this. Boom, boom, boom.
And tomorrow morning, a new shot.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was looking at your agenda. Busy agenda, as always. You have Köln, Chicago, Minneapolis, Seattle. Do you miss playing when you're at home? Or is that a different kind of mood?
Oh, I really enjoy when I'm home. And I have, especially, I think, during COVID, it's something I didn't know I would enjoy. But I think after COVID, and now we're back at it, I really protect the time when I'm not on stage. I really need to recharge. I love to do sports, especially boxing. That's like my favorite hobby. But also just have time to catch up with friends and family. I think, so that's why I really need this time. And also just to study for the...
Yeah, I was going to say, I reckon you study, but you're not completely drawn into the music in those weeks.
Yes and no. Again, depends on the pieces. But I really, really am happy to have the time to then, have food at home, right? And then sleep in your own bed.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Not living out of a suitcase.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
I have one final question. This is a question I ask every guest.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to go home. But if you could stay and pick one concert from our season brochure, which one would it be?
I mean, I would definitely look at I would love to have been for Leif. Even just now, I saw your... what is this one? Yeah, I would have loved to see this. Veronica Jensen.
Yeah. Anyway.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, this must be also great. Clemens Hagen and the quartet.
Yeah.
Well, April, it's still coming.
It keeps on coming. I had one of the episodes as well is with Sibran from Quartet Quiroga.
Oh.
Yeah. And I was thinking about what he played. I think Schubert's quintet.
Yeah. It's funny because I almost skip the symphony concerts. But I always find, for example, I would have also loved to see this one. Jean Schiebe,
yeah.
Oh, and Dunedin, they're amazing.
Okay.
You see,
Okay.
But I think, and this is also why when I get to, actually, even though if let's say I'm working, if there are some concerts happening, and if I'm free in that evening, I would love to go. I think that's something very difficult for musicians when we are working. We tend to just be so focused in our own project and we don't see others. But I love to, for example, go to a chamber concerts. It's really refreshing actually. And I also, but you have to tell yourself really I'm here to enjoy and don't judge.
Yeah. Not analyze.
But just really Yeah.
So. Okay. So, Jean Schiebe and Dunedin concert. Okay. Elim, thank you very much for the conversation. Good luck with the final concerts with Antwerp Symphony.
Thank you so much.
We'll meet each other soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Bye. De passie waarmee Elim over muziek praat, voel je ook tijdens het concert. Het was een prachtige Mahler 4 met bovendien een glansrol voor sopraan Christiane Karch. Nogmaals bedankt aan Elim Chan voor de heel fijne babbel. En ben je benieuwd wie er nog allemaal langskomt in Muziekcentrum De Bijlokke? Check dan zeker onze website www.bijlokke.be voor de volledige concertkalender. En noteer misschien ook 15 mei in je agenda, want dan laten we het nieuwe seizoen 2024-25 helemaal op je los. De muziek die je vandaag hoorde was Gustav Mahlers vierde symfonie, uitgevoerd door het Antwerp Symphony Orchestra onder leiding van chef-dirigent Elim Chan. Dit was de elfde en laatste aflevering van Vlak voor de Gong, een podcast van Muziekcentrum De Bijlocke. Vind je de podcast leuk? Laat dan een review achter en deel je liefde met vrienden, collega's en andere muziekliefhebbers. Bedankt om te luisteren en tot de volgende keer.